Is it possible that in just a few laps in the rain, Hamilton has proven himself to be the most dangerous driver of 2026? What did Ferrari see in the data that left them seriously surprised? While many in the paddock looked at the stopwatches with disappointment to see Lewis Hamilton clocking a 1 minute and 33.455 seconds on a wet track, well behind Leclerc's 1:20 under drier conditions, in the Ferrari pit, eyes were not on the absolute times. They were riveted to the telemetry screens. What the data revealed, turn after turn, was not simply promising. It was disconcerting. Because what appeared there was not just rapid adaptation. It was premature dominance. It was knowledge applied in real time. It was intelligent piloting elevated to its highest expression. From his first laps, Hamilton wasn't just driving the SF-26, he was interpreting it. Every corner entry, every weight transfer, every acceleration or braking phase was loaded with technical intention. There was no improvisation. There was reading and surgical execution. What for others would have been a superficial exploration session in the rain, for him was an exercise in millimetric analysis and validation. One of the most impressive aspects was the way Hamilton worked with the variable grip conditions. While other drivers tried to adapt their driving to the changing grip level, he used it as a tool to understand mass distribution, the efficiency of active aerodynamics, and the behavior of the new hybrid maps in low traction areas. Every curve was a question, and every corner exit a response. Engineers, accustomed to looking at metrics in isolation, began to see a pattern, a logical and constant progression in the way they extract performance. A learning curve compressed into minutes. The technique he used was a masterclass in dynamic control. Hamilton avoided overloading at corner entrances, maintaining a clean line with contained lateral transfer, and then applying his well-known combination of progressive braking and superimposed acceleration. This brake throttle overlap technique is neither common nor simple. It requires extreme sensitivity in the left foot and instant mental coordination between the behavior of the car and the response of the hybrid system. It requires the pilot to feel the slip before it occurs. And in wet conditions, that margin is millimeters. But Hamilton didn't just execute his standard technique. He adapted it. Because the SF-26, with its active aerodynamics and new mass distribution, responds differently to what he knew at Mercedes. So he modified his rotation point, reduced the lateral transfer phase, and prioritized keeping the rear axle stable in the middle phase of the curve. All this to ensure clean traction when exiting the corner, crucial in a car that now depends 50% on electric delivery. What seemed like a slow lap was actually an orchestra of actions calibrated to validate each key parameter of the car. And there is more. Because Hamilton did something that was not in the test plan. On several laps, he deliberately activated more aggressive hybrid regeneration modes. Because I needed to know if the car could maintain stability when the load on the rear axle was increased during energy recovery. This additional pressure, under normal conditions, destabilizes the car. But the SF-26 held firm. And that piece of information, which would be invisible to a spectator, was a bomb in the Ferrari garage. Because it meant that the base architecture of the car was robust. That not only was it fast in the simulator, but it could withstand extreme conditions on the track. What started as a data collection round ended up being a high-level technical validation. And not because of what the stopwatch said, but because of what the telemetry revealed. Hamilton didn't just surprise, redefined expectations. It showed that he had understood the SF-26 more deeply than any other pilot would have in such a short time. And for a team that has been struggling for years to translate simulations into real-world performance, that's invaluable. Ferrari has lived many seasons with high expectations and even greater disappointments. But what happened on January 27, 2026 in Barcelona was not media noise or a public relations maneuver. It was a silent turning point that was only understood by those who had direct access to the raw data, to the telemetry, to the language that really speaks in Formula One. What Hamilton produced on the track forced the Maranello engineers to stop, reanalyze, and reformulate their own conclusions. The phrase that leaked after that analysis was clear: seriously surprised. It was not a colloquial expression. It was a technical diagnosis. 4 hours after his stint, the Performance Department's data analysis team compared the material generated by Hamilton with Leclerc's references, previous simulations, and dyno data. What they found was baffling. Hamilton had achieved levels of consistency, thermal stability, and behavior under hybrid loading that not only surpassed Leclerc, but also invalidated key assumptions the team had about the SF-26 operational window. The aspect that caught the most attention was not that Hamilton was faster. It was to achieve it with less degradation, under more extreme conditions and with room for maneuver. That is to say, his best laps did not reach the limit of the car. They reached the limit of his own analysis. And that suggests something even more alarming and promising, that the SF-26 had more potential than even its own designers had anticipated. One of the engineers responsible for the hybrid integration area noted that the thermal loads on the battery cells and electrical inverters remained within optimal margins, even when Hamilton modified the regeneration mode beyond the planned plan. This not only indicated that the driver understood how to push the system without compromising it, but also revealed that the car could withstand aggressive energy management, something the team had not validated in either the simulator or the bench. In parallel, the chassis dynamic analysis team confirmed that lateral vibrations and vertical loads remained remarkably uniform on the rear axle, even in the most irregular areas of the circuit, such as turn 9 and the entrance to turn 13. This translates into one thing: constant traction, stable structural response, and a better balanced weight distribution than the team had simulated. Hamilton, without looking for it, was revalidating the car's suspension geometry and mechanical architecture with each lap. But the most impressive thing came from the race simulation area. When the times by sector and the tire use phases between both drivers were compared, it was evident that Hamilton degraded less compound, even under conditions of accumulated water, and managed to maintain temperatures in the ideal ranges for more laps than Leclerc. This, for a team that has suffered for years with tire thermal management, was like finding a gold mine. And then came the internal impact. If in suboptimal conditions with a base car without a specific setup for it, and in an environment of total humidity, Hamilton could already stabilize and optimize the car. What will happen when he receives the Evolve package in Bahrain? What margin is left when the car is really configured to your liking? The technical management began to quietly change its priorities. Loic Serra, head of the chassis area, requested a review of the update schedule to consider incorporating some of the feedback that Hamilton had generated just from that first day. Fred Vasseur, the team director, held several meetings with the performance area to understand if what was observed was sustainable or the product of favorable conditions. And the conclusion was unanimous. It wasn't luck, it was instant technical understanding. Ferrari hadn't just hired a champion. They had brought in a pilot who, without asking for it, became the best sensor they have had in years. A pilot who, before speaking, was already communicating with data. And that, in an era where everything depends on how you interpret the information, is worth more than any pole position. The true value of what happened in Barcelona is not measured in stopwatches or headlines. It is measured in decisions. In changes of course. In internal movements that only happen when a team realizes that its reality has just been altered. Because what Hamilton did not only surprise the team. It forced him to rethink his technical and sporting roadmap for a season that has just begun, but that already promises to rewrite hierarchies. Ferrari's structure over the last few years has been highly conservative in terms of implementing upgrade packages. The correlation errors between the wind tunnel, simulator, and track, inherited from the 2022 and 2023 seasons, had left their mark. Since then, each step was measured with obsessive precision. But Hamilton broke into that system as a catalyst. His reading of SF-26 was not only profound, it was immediate. And that changed the team's perception of the real maturity of the car. What was thought to be a half-validated prototype is now seen as a solid foundation ready to evolve aggressively. In strategic terms, this opens a new dilemma within Maranello. Should the arrival of Package B for Bahrain be accelerated? Is it worth modifying the simulation maps to incorporate different driving styles between Leclerc and Hamilton? Is it advisable to focus development resources on a platform that already has stable behavior, or bet on a radical evolution that maximizes the margins discovered by Hamilton? But there is something deeper that is happening, and that will not be seen in an official statement or in a technical graph. The internal dynamics between the drivers. Leclerc is Ferrari's emotional heir. He has been carrying the project, the failures, and the hopes of the Tifoseria for years. But now he faces a teammate who not only has 7 titles, but who has arrived and, without asking permission, has understood the car better on his first day than many do in weeks in a simulator. That introduces a quiet tension, not of rivalry, but of validation. Because if Hamilton confirms in Bahrain what he hinted at in Barcelona, the narrative of the natural team leader could begin to tilt, and with it, the strategic decisions of the wall. Outside the garage, the most immediate implication is in the championship. Red Bull arrives structurally weakened after the internal conflicts of 2024. Mercedes is in the rebuilding phase, betting on Russell and rookie Antonelli. McLaren, despite its technical strength, still carries the ghosts of inconsistency on critical weekends. Ferrari, for the first time in a long time, has what everyone is looking for. A solid technical base, 2 elite drivers, and a development window that can open earlier than that of its rivals. Let me know in the comments what you think about all this.